Hi, Rachel from Clay Scoliosis Clinic. In this, the fourth of our videos on x-rays, I'm going to focus a little bit more on some things that you might see in an adult x-ray, and just some other little tidbits that could be helpful when you are trying to understand what's going on these two-dimensional films. So let's look at some x-rays and talk about it. In this x-ray here, the main thing that I want to point out is when you're looking in the thoracic spine, it's nice and defined, but as we get down low into this lower curve here, everything becomes less defined. It's hard to see where the edges of the vertebra are. Everything looks kind of muddled. This is a pretty good sign that there's some osteoporosis or osteopenia going on. So this is important to know regardless of what type of treatment that you're going to have, because you want to protect vulnerable bone. Also, let's see if I can get a little bit closer here. As you can see, a lot of times with these large lower curves, as they progress, the vertebra will start to slide away from each other. If you look in the thoracic spine, if you make a nice line, everything, all the edges line up, even though it's curved. If we come down here, we jump out to the side. We jump out to the side, we jump back in, we jump back in. That's called spondylolisthesis. Listhesis means a slipping, a shifting. Spondy means spine. So there's a shifting of the spine, and there's different grades, but you want to be very careful if you have a spondylolisthesis because there's less stability. We want to be very, very protective of these curves in order to keep them safe. If you have a spondylolisthesis and osteoporosis or osteopenia, extra reason to be careful when treating that spine. There's still things that can be done. The Schroth method is great for that. We just have to keep in mind that we have to really, really be emphasizing stability in those cases. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on. We're going to look at a different x-ray now, which happens to be mine. So this is just a partial x-ray. This is one of the clearer of my x-rays that I've had. So something that you may see, and this happens in adults, in kids, is if you don't like to follow the rules and do the number of vertebrae that typically happen in different parts of the back. So the lumbar spine typically has 5 vertebrae. So we know that this is my 12th vertebra here because of the 12th thoracic, because it's the 12th rib. So if we go, there's lumbar 1, lumbar 2, lumbar 3, lumbar 4, lumbar 5, lumbar 6. I have what's called lumbarization of my sacrum. So the sacrum is typically, it's 5 bones that are fused together, but sometimes the top part of the sacrum will decide, I don't want to be in the sacrum club, I want to be a lumbar vertebra. So I actually have 6 lumbar vertebra and an extra little disc here that gives me all kinds of trouble. If you have more questions about that, feel free to message me. The reverse can happen too. So it could be some people only have 4 lumbar vertebra, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the sacrum decided to take an extra segment. And that's just important because either one of those can contribute to pain, and it affects the way that the spine is balanced. Last little tidbit I want to share with you is for rounding and for what's called kyphosis, specifically Shermans Kyphosis. Let's go over to this one. Okay. This is a picture of Shermans Kyphosis. So you can have kyphosis that's just related to aging when you start to round, or you can have kyphosis that is being set into action by earlier bony changes. Shermans Kyphosis you typically see from childhood and adolescence, the same as scoliosis. And the marking characteristic, you can't see it very well in this image, but there's little notches in the vertebra. This one, it's not very clear. Sometimes you can see really big notches, but it's characterized by a really large rounding happening in the mid-back. And the Schroth method is very good for kyphosis and Sherman's kyphosis as well. But if that's what you see on your x-ray, it says that you have some kyphosis, or especially Sherman's kyphosis, that's what they're talking about. And there we have it. There's a couple little extra things if you're wanting to learn about x-rays. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to check us out at clayscoliosisclinic.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube station to get the latest info, and we look forward to hearing from you with any of your needs.